3 doctors killed by the handsomeness of a boy at birth.
Beautiful baby I've ever seen.
The doctors who saw his face, without exception, they were all killed. To avoid unnecessary trouble, his parents moved him to a small town in the middle of nowhere. He had to wear a hat and sunglasses every day since then, and wrapped his face in gauze, so that no one else could see him in all his glory. Growing up handsome, he was distressed. His parents hired a psychiatrist for him. The boy said, everyone who saw his face would die from his handsomeness, but the therapist thought he was bragging. He had to see for himself how handsome he really was. Stop. By the time his parents arrived, it was too late. The psychiatrist had been thrown to his death. Shortly afterwards, local police officers arrived at the scene. When they saw that the boy was there, they weren't surprised. The boy was depressed. Why he had to look so handsome? So he approached his friend with a brick in his hand, trying to get his friend to give him a good smack in the face. When he didn't want to help, he had to call his friend's mobile phone. But the brick hit him, didn't affect the boy's handsome face. On the contrary, his friend felt sorry for what he had done, so he introduced him to a girl. But since he couldn't see the boy's face, he had to leave in anger, unaware that he was missing out on the most handsome man in the world. Once again, the boy was devastated and went to the river. So handsome, what's the point of living? As he was about to jump into the river to kill himself, a girl came along. He sprinkled some sugar into the river, and said, this bridge doesn't look very high. You should find a taller bridge. For some reason, the boy suddenly let go of his thoughts of dying, and they became good friends. The girl would often take him to the nursing home, to visit the elderly and widows. As they spent time together, their relationship grew. One day, they bought 100,000. They bought 100,000 rainbow candies and put them in the bathtub, enjoying a sweet moment just for the two of them. At that moment, the boy noticed a monitor on the girl's chest. It turns out, the girl had been suffering from a rare cardiovascular disease since she was a child. Inflammation is caused by mood swings, causing her heart to enlarge. Now she has to take medication every day to keep her alive. She may die one day, but before she leaves, she has one unfinished wish. She wanted to see the boy's face for herself. The boy wanted to stop him. He didn't want to hurt the girl in front of him. Seeing that the girl's mind was made up, he had to let go of her hand. He let her take off her sunglasses. Just as they were looking at each other, the boy's parents had returned.
Hi, I'm Alex.
After a moment of silence, before going up and giving a big hug, because they had brought back a girl too, I was going to introduce her to my son. Now it seemed a bit redundant, so they left in disbelief. After this, they were officially in a relationship. That day they went camping together. To surprise the girl, he asked her to close her eyes. Then he took off the bandage and put it over her eyes. He gently took her hand and stroked his cheek. This was the way she wanted, so that the girl she loved could see her face. That day, an old grandmother in a nursing home was dying in bed, in pain. The girl couldn't bear to see this scene. She asks the boy to help the grandmother leave peacefully, but the boy doesn't want to. He didn't want to kill any more innocent people. After hearing this, the girl let go of his hand. Disappointed, she left. After some hesitation, the boy went to the grandmother's bed. He gently held the grandmother's hand. He asked her if she wanted to sleep. The grandmother couldn't say anything. She could only respond with a smile. Then the boy slowly took off the gauze wrapped around his face. He showed the grandmother how beautiful he looked. The grandmother was smiling, without a trace of pain. She left peacefully. A few days later, a friend invited them to a costume party. But just then the girl's nose suddenly bled out. To keep the boy from finding out, she had to find an excuse to go to the bathroom. But after waiting for a long time, she didn't see her return. She didn't expect to meet a gangster just outside. The gangster saw that the boy was wearing a mask and got angry. He went up to him and forced him to take off his mask. He revealed his handsome face. The woman just took one look at him and froze. Then her eyes started to turn white. Her body began to stiffen. Then she fell to the ground. The woman had been killed by the beauty of his face, so the boy was sent to prison. But there is no law that says that it is a crime to be handsome. He was soon released. On the other hand, the girl was critically ill. She was lying in bed, extremely weak. The doctors say she doesn't have long to live. Now she has only one wish. She wanted to see her boyfriend's beautiful face, but the boy couldn't do it. He doesn't want to. He didn't want to watch the girl he loved die in front of him. When he got back, he grabbed a brick and hit himself in the face. Luckily, his parents arrived just in time to stop him. Then he thought about it for a long time alone. Until this day, the girl was lying in a hospital bed. She was on a ventilator, struggling to stay alive. She was holding on for dear life, so that before she died, to see her lover's face. At this moment the boy no longer hesitates. He slowly removes the bandage from his face. Then he lies down in front of the girl. The girl kisses him carefully, and then slowly opens her eyes. Miraculously, the girl wasn't killed by the beauty of his face, but what comes around must come around. Eventually the girl left him.